So let's start things off with our 4x4 friend here. A bit of a throwback to the original Bronco off-road vehicle that Ford introduced in the early 60s. Now that one was small, simple, and lightweight, but it could still navigate rugged terrain with ease. But when everybody else came out with much bigger 4x4s, Ford lost faith and the Bronco grew fat to keep up. Now, 2 oil crises later, Ford has decided to reintroduce a small four-wheel drive model, this Bronco II. Though it's about the same size as its grandparent, it's now making a much bigger splash,
both in sales and in mud and goo. Despite being 1,000 pounds lighter, 19 inches shorter, and 9 inches narrower than its full-size Bronco stablemate, the Bronco II is still clearly up to its all-terrain mission. With a 4,500-pound towing limit and about 7 inches of ground clearance, there isn't much in the great outdoors that the Bronco II can't do. Its twin I-beam front suspension, a Ford truck hallmark for years, allows easy navigation of all but the most rugged landscape, though a short 94-inch wheelbase does mean a lot of pitching over ruts. Since the Bronco is smaller than either of its main rivals, the S10 Blazer or Jeep Cherokee, that short wheelbase might have made for a killer highway ride too. But Ford's careful selection of spring rates and shocks actually gives the Bronco II what we think is the best combination of on- and off-road comfort in its class. The Bronco II's stuffy chassis also makes for a very high, square-looking block of sheet metal. It's generally regarded as less attractive than its GM and Jeep counterparts, so Ford threw in a curve or two to soften up its looks. The unusual rear side glass arches gracefully into the roof and provides for a brighter interior. And for 1984, those large glass sheets can be ordered as detachable units. Combined with a sunroof, they almost make the Bronco II into a backwoods convertible. Your choices are limited, though, when it comes to Bronco II drivetrains. Ford wagers that most buyers will want V6 power, so they decline to offer a 4-cylinder like the competition. There's also no such thing as a 2-wheel drive version. So except for the selection of a 4- or 5-speed manual gearbox or a 3-speed automatic, all Bronco II engine bays look pretty much the same. The German-made 2.8-liter is the most powerful engine available in a vehicle of this size. It's rated at 115 horsepower and 150 pounds of torque. Since all its 4-wheel drive road mates also sport a base price just shy of $10,000, it gives the Bronco II a clear marketing edge. The interior of our Bronco II includes the Highline XLT trim. Fully loaded, it comes in at $14,200. Like the entire vehicle, that trim comes straight from the Ranger line of pickups. Only trouble is, it's almost too fancy to get dirty. At least the colorfully striped seat fabrics are sturdier than they look, with very good support. One very welcome feature is a foot release that allows the front buckets to tilt forward for easy entry to the rear. Back there, you'll not only find plenty of room for 3 adults, but you also get split cushions for excellent carrying flexibility. We highly recommend ordering the swing-away tire carrier so cargo capacity isn't wasted on the spare. And this double-action tailgate lets you open the window glass only for loading smaller objects. Though it's not very long, the cargo cavity is high and wide and has a very flat floor, with the rear wheel wells taking up only a minimum amount of space. In general, they don't waste much space in the Bronco II. For instance, you can get such handy features as these optional side storage compartments. To engage the Bronco II's part-time 2-speed 4-wheel drive system, you just push this single lever. It operates so smoothly that we had to watch the dash-mounted indicator to know it was working. The indicator is nestled between 2 circular pods that can be ordered with all necessary instrumentation except a tachometer. That's too bad, since engine operation is a high point of the Bronco II. Just for openers, it delivered a better-than-truck-like 0 to 60 performance of 15.8 seconds. While we never expect these vehicles to really shine on the blacktop, you still may want to pass a game warden or two. So at 6.5 seconds from 40 to 55, you he should at least be able to better his government-issued transport. But since we all know the Bronco is basically a truck, we have to talk about brakes. Stopping the Bronco II from a slow 30 miles an hour is no great accomplishment. Distances averaged an okay 42 feet. But its behavior at higher speeds is of more concern. From 55, despite an acceptable stopping average of 136 feet, several times the brakes locked instantly, causing a four-wheel slide and swing. We found the same tendency with the S10 Blazer, also based on a pickup. The only four-wheeler that didn't do that was the Jeep Cherokee, and that evolved on its own. Since these vehicles are being sold as all-weather, all-road station wagons and not as trucks, they should, like the Jeep, have more car-like braking stability. Back on the positive side, the Bronco II is quiet for its type, with only 71 decibels of noise at 55. So you can turn up the FM and wail with Waylon right on past the gas pumps, since this new class of downsize off-roaders also gives decent fuel economy. The Bronco II with an automatic is rated at 18 city and 24 highway, with a test total of 20 being recorded on our 100-mile economy loop. So compared to the S10 Blazer and Jeep Cherokee, we find the Ford Bronco II is very competitive, with several advantages. It has a fine ride on all driving surfaces and offers the most powerful engine. Only its brakes were a notable negative, and that's unfortunately all too typical of its breed. So, with its versatile carrying abilities and good creature comforts, the Ford Bronco II certainly rates as a reasonable choice in the growing downsized 4x4 arena.